interviewing top sports personalities from around the nation in order to provide you next-level insight and analysis into your Cleveland Browns.
Welcome to All Eyes on Cleveland. My name is Brad Ward. Mikey is on the ones and twos. This is another edition of the show tonight, a quarterback one edition, QB1 edition, Baker Mayfield 2021. We have a very special guest, Jim Ballard, ex-NFL quarterback, won a national championship at Mount Union, is in the College Football Hall of Fame, and runs the Ballard Quarterback Academy. And he is a terrific guest to talk about quarterback breakdowns, and a Browns fan as well. Local guy here, and was a legend back in the day. If you remember Jim Ballard at Mount Union, was actually in the Heisman Trophy race from a Division III college back when he attended the school. So he is fantastic, and he's going to join us for a tremendous interview on Baker and the state of the Browns, mostly Baker Mayfield, assessing him going forward. Couple things to take care of business-wise here from the top. We're putting out these videos. I want to do a minicamp video. It was hard, to get a lot of minicamp content, really good content, comments coming out of Berea. A lot to talk about as far as what guys are saying at the podium, things like that. As far as on the field action, we've gotten some pictures, some video. We will have a show on Saturday with Cameron Justice, who was there for all 3 days of minicamp. She's been actually absolutely killing it, knocking it out of the park as far as coverage goes from Berea. She's going to join us on Saturday, and we're going to do a minicamp recap show, and we look forward to that. So we're going to have her on, and we will do a show on the minicamp, just so you know you have that to look forward to. If you're tuned into All Eyes on Cleveland channel and you're not a subscriber yet, please hit the subscribe button. You're going to want to come back. We put out great content all the time. We get the best guests that we can from all over the country to talk about our Cleveland Browns and all the pressing issues that face this team as we get ready for an epic season in 2021. Also, it's free of charge to watch these shows. The only thing I ask you is if you have a moment and you're watching this live or on replay, just hit the like button for us. It helps us out so much here. Helps Mikey out. It puts a big smile on Mikey's face. He loves it, and we would appreciate that if you could do that as well. But let's get to the interview tonight. When we come back, I'm going to go over 2 takeaways from minicamp, from what we could, read about, hear about, what we heard in interviews. I have 2 takeaways, biggest takeaways from minicamp. And remember, that show on Saturday with Cameron Justice is going to be a really good one. So you're going to want to watch that one on Saturday. But let's get to tonight's interview with Jim Ballard, ex-NFL quarterback, college football Hall of Famer from Mount Union, and the director of the Ballard Quarterback Academy, plus many more. His accolades are long and illustrious, but we will get to his interview now. Mikey's going to get that queued up, and while you're waiting for this to come up, you can just smash that like button real quick, and we'll get the interview going for you right now. And we are absolutely thrilled to have a very special guest on All Eyes on Cleveland here this evening. He is the one and only Jim Ballard. Jim led Mount Union College to their first national title in 1993, shattering every school passing record in the process. He played in the NFL, the Arena League, Canadian Football League, NFL Europe during his 10-year pro career. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008 and currently runs the Ballard Quarterback Academy. And welcome to the show, Jim. How we doing?
Good, Brad. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show once again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It should be fun. We're going to talk some Baker Mayfield. Obviously, I'm going right to the source, the man that knows quarterbacks better than anybody I know. So we're gonna go right to you on that stuff. But I want to ask you before we dive into all that. You mentioned to me off air, so you might be diving into this podcast scene as well. It sounds like you've got something in the works with the NFL Alumni Academy. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, my partner and I from Q92, TJ Downing, former All-American offensive guard at the Ohio State University, national champion in his own right. TJ and I have been working together at Q92. We decided that we'd love to do a podcast. We're going to call it the 1372 Podcast, QB and the OG. It's going to be live from the Hall of Fame. We, as you said, Brad, we have the endorsement of the NFL Alumni Academy, Beasley Reese, Bart Oates, Michael Crawford from the Hall of Fame Village Johnson Control side has also blessed it. We just got a couple more hurdles to go, and hopefully within the next month we will start the podcast. Really excited about the content, what we can offer, the guests that we can have, and it's going to be live from the Hall of Fame. No better venue to bring a podcast than from there, right?
Yeah, no doubt. That's sick. QB and the OG live from the Hall of Fame. That would be awesome, man. So congrats on that and that endeavor. That sounds awesome. So definitely be turning into that. You also told me off the air just a couple days ago you got a new puppy. How's that going? Dealing with that okay? Said it's worse than having children?
Reginald James Ballard the first, a.k.a. Reg, a.k.a. Reggie, a.k.a. Reggie Burger. Yeah, he's a little black pug. He's about this big. Yeah, he's actually been pretty good. Potty training's been pretty good. He's almost as big as my foot now, so that's interesting. But yeah, he's 11 weeks today, as a matter of fact. So first puppy at 49 years old, and you're absolutely right, Brad. It is it's a lot harder than kids. You got to take them out every 20 minutes. Your kid might sit there for 35 minutes in a poopy diaper before they cry or make a sound. So
absolutely right.
Challenges. Yep. It's a lot of fun, though.
Very much. Yes, it is. They are fun. All right. So we're going to dive into tonight's episode is Browns QB1, the Baker Mayfield edition. There's been this national narrative out there, Jim, about Baker that his play or his good play at the end of the 2020 season should be credited more to. There's a lot of people pumping this narrative that it should be credited more to the offense that catered to him and the run game that catered to him. Now, I don't think a lot of these national pundits necessarily probably watched every Browns game or watched the games and scoured over the film like I have, or potentially like that you've watched every game, I'm sure, right? So, I mean, I saw different things from Baker. I saw them go to more of him in the pocket throwing and letting him do more of that towards the end of the season than they did at the beginning. I guess my question to you is, have you seen enough from him to want to go ahead and sign him to an extension?
Yes. A hard yes. All the expectation on him coming out as the first pick of the draft, where he was, the sophomore slump that he went through, the fact he did not have an off season last year with his receivers, the fact he did not have an off season with a brand new head coach and offensive coordinator, my former teammate, Alex Van Pelt, former Buffalo Bills quarterback. And for him to bounce back, and during COVID and have, weeks where he didn't even practice, or the team didn't practice, players getting shuffled in and out. That's a tall order, right? Just playing quarterback alone before anything else in the NFL, comes with a lot. You got to be the guy that knows what everybody's doing. You got to be the guy that checks, understand defense, get the ball out of your hand, manage the game, not turn it over. And for him to do what he did last year, after everybody being on him for a bad sophomore season, he bounced back. We go, 11-5. We go to the playoffs. And not only do we go to the playoffs, but we beat Pittsburgh the last week of the season, and then we got to come back and play them. So you know how hard it is to beat a team back-to-back weeks, let alone to beat Pittsburgh, let alone it be the Browns in the playoffs for the first time, since what, 02, 03?
Yeah,
whenever
something
it was.
like that. Yeah.
And then he goes out and he dominates Pittsburgh again. Leave the guy alone. Everybody's always like, man, I'd like to see the Browns win. Guess what? We just won games. We put together a hell of a season. Everybody's excited. He had a great year. I mean, whether the run game was great, whether the defense was, really good at times, you got to have that if you're a quarterback. I mean, you just can't go out there, week after week and have to throw for 400, 400 or 500 yards and win games. You got to have a good run game. Stefanski's done a great job utilizing the tight ends. With Harrison Bryant and Njoku and those guys and Hoop. The play action game becomes more relevant. And when you got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, I mean, two of the top 5 backs in the NFL on the same team. Kareem did an outstanding job of being a lead back at times for Chubb last year. He's great out of the backfield catching the ball. So it really stretches the defense sideline to sideline. And also, when you are able to run the ball, Brad, they got to walk down that strong safety into the box. So now you got one high safety, and you're either going to see cover 3 or cover 1. So now you're manned up on the outside. You got Jarvis Landry. I mean, we've got some dudes, man. And we did a lot of this without OBJ because he was hurt.
Yeah.
And guys stepped up and made plays, and I'm excited. And I've always been a Baker Mayfield fan. I mean, how can you not like a guy that not only walks on once, but he walked on twice at different schools, and he starts at both schools. Then he wins the Heisman, but he's undersized, and so they want to bag on him. The guy plants the flag in Ohio Stadium. People got pissed off. You know what? Don't lose at home. I think he was a little upset from the year before. He planted the flag. But it's that kind of swag, man. You walk around Cleveland, you ask anybody, hey, man, who would you want in a foxhole with you? Oh, dude, man, our quarterback who shotgunned a beer at the Indians game. Give me that guy all day long in the foxhole because Baker's coming out swinging. And that's the kind of leader he is. He's infectious. Guys like him. Guys rally around him. You want to fight for a guy like that. And, Baker embodies all of that. He's done a great job, being the face of the franchise and continues to do the great things in the community. And I'm obviously very talkative and very excited about this fall, man. I love watching Baker play. And, the second half of the season that he had, did we run the ball well? Yeah, we did. But guess what? He didn't turn it over. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 interceptions in the last 9 games. I mean, he really got it done. And, when you win the turnover battle in the NFL, you win over 90% of your games. And Baker was able to do that. And the Browns played really well. And if it wasn't for that helmet to helmet that did not get called on the goal line against Kansas City, that's a different game. I mean, that's a 10 or 13 point swing, and the Browns are right there.
Totally, absolutely. That game is a weird game, and I'm glad that we play Kansas City in Week 1. I think that presents a scenario where it's kind of a no-lose situation. Like, if you go out and lose to Kansas City, nobody's going to be, floored, right? Like, okay, it's Kansas City, but you have the opportunity to go out and beat them in Week 1, and that would just send people into a craze, you know what I mean?
I agree.
All right, so you've seen enough for him for the extension. The other thing that people say a lot is, I just question whether he can put the team on his back. Should he have to go win the game with his right arm? And there was a point in the season last year where everything they did was so play action heavy, right? But then they got towards later in the season, and they did let him drop in the pocket and go win games with his right arm sometimes because teams were loading up boxes and they were forcing him to do that. I remember they came out in that Tennessee game all week long. You heard about the run game, and Stefanski came out just throwing the ball all over the field, right? So, I just think that I've seen enough of him that I think he can go out and win a game with his right arm. Once again, the national pundits will question that, but I don't think they've seen enough Cleveland Browns football to say that. Do you think he can go out and win a game with his right arm?
No question about it. And or his feet. I mean, Is Baker a Murray type of athlete or a Russell Wilson type of athlete? No. But can the guy, roll out for 20, 25, 30 yards if he takes off the field? Absolutely. You have to have somebody account for him when he steps up in the pocket. Because if you do drop everybody out trying to get in those passing windows for all the talented receivers and tight ends that we have, then you're going to leave, Baker on an island to be able to run. And he did a good job of that last year. He does a great job in the pocket of always keeping his eyes down the field. And when he does break contain or he does slide out of the pocket, tremendous job of keeping those eyes down the field and dissecting the defense and making him, come up at the very last second and then bang, he might rip a shot off across his body. He can make off-platform throws. He can extend plays. He can throw the ball well on the run. And you have to account for him, as I keep saying, as an athlete. And there's no question that if the game needs to be taken over by Baker, that he can do that. And I really think you'll see him take even more strides this year, second year in the offense with Coach Stefanski, actually having an off season to where you can spend time face to face with guys and go through the nuances of the concepts and why we're putting this corner with this snag, with this under route, who we read and bake. Here's what we're thinking, why we're doing this. And, there's a lot of that. And it's so hard when you don't have that off season where, you have all those reps where you take 3 steps, stick your foot in the ground and throw to a spot and know he's going to be there because you just don't have that timing yet. Brady spends kinds of time, years and years and years with those receivers out in California. And it's the same thing, timing, just getting used to guys. Everybody might run a curl route 12 to 10, but this guy kind of stems it this way. This guy kind of, runs it this way. He rounds it a little bit more. It's just all the little subtleties in the way the guys run the routes and getting used to them and spending time with them. So I think Baker's going to have a tremendous year this year. I really like what the Browns did in draft. I think they picked up some really good defensive players. I mean, you got Clowney and Myles Garrett. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Off the edge, or even put them on the same side. I mean, they're going to be an absolute nightmare. And the other thing is too, Clowney's been a little hurt these last couple of years, so he signs a 1-year deal, right? It's time for him to get paid. So what do you got to do to get paid? You have a big year, and that's what he's playing for.
Yeah, I mean, I've been shocked, so coming out of minicamp here the past few days, right? Like a lot of the quotes we've seen, but like Clowney's like gleeful, like he's so happy, and like he's talking about, it took me this long to find a guy like the same size as me, and I think he's happy because he realized he's not going to get double teamed all the time. He's like been the most double teamed guy in the NFL for years, right? Now you got Garrett on the other side. He's going to get single coverage or single blocking concepts against him, and it's just like he seems really happy with everybody around him and stuff in all his interviews. And I'm like, man, that's such a culture change for the Browns, to have a guy come in and just be so happy.
Yeah, I mean, players off the streets that it's not like, oh man, I'm going to Cleveland where players die. It's like, man, I'm going to the Browns, and there's a lot of excitement about that. And I mean, we've big time players. I mean, we've got 2 of the top 5 running backs in the NFL. Period. End of story. You got one of the best defensive ends in the league. We got another, a great set of receivers. You got Jarvis Landry and OBJ coming back, and then you got Hoop, as another tight end. And on and on. And Clowney's coming in excited because obviously he's got a guy on the other side that demands double teams, but how much do you think they're just sponging together? They give you this. What are you going to do? Well, man, I'd like to go with the rip and to bring the arm over, and that they're just having long, deep conversations, and they're both getting better for it. How do you do this? So it's absolutely there's no question he's excited to be here, and our defense is good.
Yeah, totally remade defense, a lot of talented guys over there. That's going to be a blast. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. Special guest, Jim Ballard, ex-NFL quarterback, college football Hall of Famer, and runs the Ballard Quarterback Academy with a podcast on the horizon, QB and the OG, that they're going to do live from the Hall of Fame, Football Hall of Fame in Canton, which is awesome. All right, Jim, you mentioned already that you were teammates with Alex Van Pelt, so I'm gonna go there. Baker spent last off season fixing his footwork, right? So they reference his footwork a lot. Alex Van Pelt had him change his foot that he had forward. I guess he might have had his right foot forward. He changed it to his left, and it was something that he had to get used to, and he did a lot last year. And then you saw, the difference in his, from really overthrowing the ball a ton in 2019 to being much more accurate and really, compared to some other teams, and especially like that Kansas City game, it became very evident he had to throw into a lot of tight windows last year compared to some other teams that had guys running wide open. You know what I mean? Especially in that Kansas City game. And he was able to do so. What did you see mechanically that was different from him? And, with Alex Van Pelt working with him and his footwork, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, to me, it's harder to operate from the quarterback standpoint with a left foot forward, right foot back. But a lot of guys do it. Baker likes to take that false step with his left foot back, and then he pivots on his left toe and then stretches his first step out. I really liked him in the pocket. He seemed like he did a great job of maintaining his base quite a bit, which keeps him on balance. There were times the year before where his feet would get so wide, and him being only 6 foot, that he would get a little heady with his throw, and the left shoulder would come down, the back leg would come off the ground, and that's when he got a little bit erratic with some of his throws. He was a little bit inaccurate. As soon as you pick that back foot up off the ground, Brad, you lose power in your core and in your hips as you're trying to come through the throw. But he cleaned that up last year. I think he just has to realize that, you only have to throw the ball hard when you have to throw the ball hard.
Yeah,
like you referenced
absolutely.
the city and having a lot of small windows. Yeah, if you got to rip it in between 2 linebackers, you rip it. Other than that, you drop back, stick your foot in the ground, and throw it 80%. 80% for Baker is plenty of velocity to get the ball from A to B. And he did a good job with that. His completion percentage went up. His touchdowns to interception ratio was outstanding, especially in the second half of the season last year. I can't say enough about Alex Van Pelt. I think one of the biggest compliments that I've heard about Alex was, and it wasn't anything that was said, it was just an action. When he got fired from Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers was irate, pissed off. That to me says everything you need to know about Alex Van Pelt. Obviously, I had a personal relationship with Alex when I played. I was there in '97. He was actually gracious enough to let me stay at his house, which when I look back, there was Todd Collins, who was supposed to be the heir apparent, Billy Joe Hobart, who we traded for from the Raiders, Alex Van Pelt, and myself. So basically, I'm battling Alex for the number 3 spot. Well, obviously, he wasn't too worried about me because he let me stay at his house, and I ended up getting cut and ended up getting picked up later in the season. But Alex was gracious to let me stay, learned a lot from him. Alex is one of those guys that you just like him. I mean, he's just a dude. He's a dude. He's a guy's guy. He hunts. He was a guy that looked kind of bad-bodied at times when he played in the NFL as a quarterback. But the guy had a hell of a career. He threw for over 10,000 yards at Pitt. Love Alex. Love to reconnect with him. And it's so good to see him doing such a great job. And for him to be able to coach Baker and to be around Baker and be able to tell him about how it was to coach Rodgers and what Rodgers did in certain situations and how he was as a pro, the time he put in, all the extra stuff. They can have those conversations, and because Alex, here's a guy. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best to ever play. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and now Baker can talk to Alex about those experiences and help his game get that much better.
Yeah, no question. That's awesome. Cool story there, Jim. That's fantastic stuff. So I'm going to bring up a graphic here. You mentioned the statistics a little bit, and I kind of want to get into this question with you and get your thoughts on it because I kind of have some thoughts on it, and it's the OBJ question, right? Like, so he has kind of stark contrasts in his statistics from when OBJ was in, right, and then after week 7 when OBJ was out. And the Browns, if you listen to the Browns will tell you that it doesn't have anything to do with OBJ, that it has to do with Baker getting used to the offense, right? So let me make sure I got this going here. Turn that down there. All right, so you can see that, right?
Yes, I can. It's very impressive.
Okay.
As I said, second half of the season, there wasn't too many guys in the NFL that were better than what Baker did.
Yeah, no question, and he was top of it. But like for me, the question is though, the OBJ effect, because I thought it was real, Jim. I think he really pressed to get him the ball. I think that it affected the way he played the game. I don't think it was just. I'm sure that getting used to the offense had something to do with it. But for me, it was more than that. I felt like he pressed. And felt like me at home, I would feel the pressure. OBJ doesn't get a touch for 2 series. I'm sitting at home thinking, man, imagine how Baker feels. I'm getting antsy. You know what I mean? Because he's not getting any touches in the offense. So how do you think he feels as the quarterback? And I think it had a real effect on him. And when he got hurt, it was like it freed him up, right? The burden was off his shoulders. Is that real or not? Or am I just imagining that?
You know what? I think it's a good point, Brad. I think there was some of that. It's all right, if we don't get Baker, OBJ the ball, is he gonna waz out? Is he gonna go in the tank? Is he gonna be a distraction on the sideline? I'm not getting the ball, this and that. I think there was some of that, and I think that when he did get hurt, there was relief. Okay, we don't have to try to do this or try to do this to get him in the game. We'll just let the game come to us. And I'm hoping that, after the season that the Browns had and OBJ, stepping back after the injury and seeing the development of all these other players, and, maybe OBJ won't be the 100 catch guy, like he was, because the offense might not just dictate that. He might be a 50 to 60 guy or 50 to 70 guy with 2 other receivers at about the same way. So I'm curious to see that dynamic in this year's offense as well. I think there were times that they did try to get him the ball, and it was just kind of forced. It just didn't jive. There wasn't the flow to get him in at times. But again, second year in the offense, full offensive season. OBJ coming back, humbled a little bit from the injury. Sure, I'm excited to see what he's going to do and how he fits into the offense and what Coach Stefanski does to get him involved and to get him touches, but also get him touches in the right situations in the game and not try to force it just to get him the ball.
Yeah, it's you want OBJ to come back in all accounts he looks fantastic. I was shocked actually that he wasn't even limited in this minicamp, and everybody says how great he's looked. So he's rehabbed really hard, and we knew he would do that. He's a hard ass worker, right? And we know that about him. But can he come in and just play his role in this offense that has a lot of mouths to feed? And can Baker's second half last year taught him enough and matured him as a quarterback enough to just throw the guy that's open, the football, regardless of if it's OBJ or somebody else?
I think so. I mean, this will be Baker's, 4th year as a starter?
Yeah.
Second year in the offense with Coach Stefanski. I think that the game's going to continue to slow down for Baker. I mean, remember this too, where everybody wants to get all over him and dismiss him. If you were to create a situation that would be one of the toughest situations for a quarterback to be in, it would be
this one. Yeah.
After winning the Heisman and being the number 1 pick, you're going to have one coach this year and an offensive coordinator for 1 year. Oh, sorry about that. We made a mistake. We're going to go ahead and just fire those guys. So now in the second year, we're going to go ahead and get you a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator. Oh, yeah, that didn't work out either. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of those guys. So now you bring in another head coach, another offensive coordinator. another system, throw in COVID, throw in no timing, and to learn the nuances of a new offense for the third year in a row. And then it's the Browns. And then all the expectation from, going 6-10 the year before, we're going to win, blah, blah, blah. And then all he does is goes out and takes us 11-5.
Yeah.
In his third year in a brand new offense. So
yeah,
he's the guy.
benefit
man.
of the doubt,
what
right?
What else do you want from him? Does he miss some throws that drive you crazy? Like sometimes there's a back in the flat wide open and he misses. Yeah, like, come on, dude. But at the end of the day, he'll come back and he'll rip a 30-yard, shot in between the strong safety, the free safety, and a linebacker.
I just want to see him play that. Yeah. I know I love him too, and I defend him too all the time. It's just, Jim, I just want to see him play that free football that we saw him play from the second half on, regardless of if OBJ's out there or not. And I know they want us to think that was just progression, and may have some of it have been, but I think he did press a little bit with him on the field, and I just think hope he outgrows that. You know what I mean?
I do, and I think he will. I think this year will be another year of maturation and the process for Baker Mayfield, and being in the same offense for second year in a row is definitely
huge, right?
a building block. Yeah, and to have an actual offseason.
And you were talking about the actual offseason and the ability to be in person, and just him the other day, hearing him and Stefanski talk about how all through the offseason program they've been able to sit down and just watch film together and point stuff out and the little nuances and wrinkles that they never got the chance to ever do that, right? So, how huge is that going to be for them,
Yeah, it is huge. Just to, and it's an opportunity to, learn more about your quarterback, by just a relationship, to understand how a guy ticks, to understand, what he likes in the offense. Why do you like this? Well, coach, I like it because this, and this. I don't like that play, coach, because I can't seem to get the timing or whatever it is. They can talk through those things, and maybe it's a new wrinkle on the board and off the same play, and just getting to know your quarterback. He really didn't get to do that a lot last year.
No question. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland with special guest Jim Ballard. Jim is a college football Hall of Famer, broke every record in the books at Mount Union College as they went on to win the national championship in 1993. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008, played in the NFL, Arena League, CFL, won an NFL Europe championship, world championship, correct?
25 years ago last Friday. Greatest victory Scotland's seen since William Wallace.
The Scottish Claymores World Bowl 2001, right?
1996.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1996. Oh, maybe they inducted you into their Hall of Fame as well, right?
Correct. I did go in 2001.
That's where the 2001 came from. My bad. It's Mikey's fault. He does, come on, Mikey. Don't be messing up my cards here. So Jim, a couple more questions here for you. Stefanski mentioned the other day, now that they're talking about some of this stuff, that one of the ways that he thought they can get better in this season is with their pre-snap stuff. Can you kind of explain what he means by that a little bit from a quarterback's perspective, like what they can do differently pre-snap? And I'm sure that having no fans in the stadium has something to do with this last year, right?
Yeah, I'm obviously guessing a little bit as to what he's talking about pre-snaps, but to me, he's talking about Baker's ability to see what the defense is doing, analyzing what they're doing, and maybe checking out of it, putting them in a better play. It could be pre-snap stuff as far as them giving Baker two plays. If the strong safety walks down, then you run this, and if the safety drops back, then you're going to run this. I just think it's everything that's happening before the snap. Maybe Baker recognizing some things quicker this year because again, it will be a second year in the offense. So I think a lot of it's identifying maybe a mismatch, understanding the play that, okay, we're going to try and motion this guy to see if they're going to play man-to-man. And if we get this safety that runs across the field with Jarvis, this is where I'm looking to go. It's probably a lot of those kind of things. Just really understanding the offense. This guy's 15 back to 12. This guy's 6 back to 8, on and straight across the board. If they walk down this guy, I'm going to check 42 blasts. And if they do this, I'm going to RPO off the strong safety. It's just seeing everything before the ball is snapped. The game for Baker just continually slowing down so that things are more clear. Things aren't gray anymore. They're more black and white. Maybe it's like standing in a batter's box and you see things so clearly that when the ball comes out of the pitcher's hand, it looks like a beach ball. That's hopefully where Baker's going to get this year, where he really sees, the subtleties of the way a corner's playing, or if the safety's kind of walking down at the last minute. Last year maybe he didn't realize that if he creeps down, he's going to blitz. This year he sees that same look and bang, he rips the post behind it. I think it's those kind of things that he's talking about. And again, just reiterating the fact of being in the offense for the second year, he's going to be able to dissect a lot of that stuff and know where to go with the ball quicker.
You've played in front of big stadiums before, and crowds, obviously, and sound, obviously, has affected this. Something they were working on minicamp is they were blasting in sound. Obviously, they're going to be playing in front of crowds again from going and playing again against no opponent crowds, basically, last year. Does that affect, I don't think they had to use a silent count at all last year. Is that something that he'll have to get used to? And that they'll have to put in this year?
No, Baker's played in plenty of big games. He played at Oklahoma. The crowds that he played at. He played at Ohio State when he beat him in front of 105,000, which is more than you're going to see at a pro game. But is it going to make a difference having people in the stands? Absolutely, it is. Is it going to be tougher for them to go out to Kansas City week one than it was in a playoff game? Absolutely. Kansas City traditionally is one of the toughest places to win in the National Football League. That place gets loud. Their fans are, into it from the beginning to the very end. The sound reverberates and comes back down. It's deafening. So you have to do a great job as the quarterback of communicating. And it might be so loud that the guard right next to you might not even hear. It might be silent count. It might be hand signals out to the wide receivers, trying to direct them, tell them what to do because they can't hear him. So that's a big aspect of the game that's going to come back this year and make the game tougher for quarterbacks, quite frankly. Having that 12th man play, you got to go to Seattle. Oof. We all know how loud that crowd is. So you have to be ready for it. I love the fact that Stefanski's, blowing the music out already, and, because Kansas City is loud, and you got to try to create those situations, so Baker deals with it. So when he gets out there, it's like old hat and no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Jim. 2 more questions for you, okay, man? You've been fantastic. Thank you for your time so much. You're very gracious for doing the show with me here tonight. All right, so if you had to think about, I guess you could put yourself into this scenario, or just think about it through Baker's eyes, but his extension is up. We've talked a lot about this on this show, right? I think it probably behooves both sides to wait until the end of this year to do the deal. I think he ends up with more money that way. I think the Browns get more data points if they do it that way. That's just kind of my thought on it, and I kind of think that's the way it'll go. But mentally, in a year where they are in this window of like a chance to really take a shot at winning it all and go into the Super Bowl, and they've got all this talent that they've acquired, do you want your quarterback to have the extension signed before the season and feel like, I'm comfortable here, this is my team, I'm not going anywhere, I can really take ownership over this? Or do you want him to be like, is it more optimal that he has to go out and prove it one more time before he gets paid, from a mental aspect?
I think there's pluses and minuses, on both sides. Dallas didn't get Dak's contract on last year, and what happens? He goes out and he blows out his knee, and then the market dictates, and they ended up paying him more than what they had anticipated. I think that from the quarterback standpoint of having the deal done, does it take some of the pressure off? Yeah, because you're kind of worried about it a little bit. But everything I've read about Baker is just like, listen, it's going to get done. It's just a matter of time. I'm not going to be a distraction. We have too many good things going on here. I'm not going to be that guy that pulls all this apart. It's taken us a long time to get here. The team's really gelling. The team's really confident. The leadership in place from the top to the bottom. Guys are excited. Guys want to play for Coach Stefanski. Guys want to play for Alex Van Pelt on offense. So I just think he's taking it a day at a time and not really doesn't want to talk about it. He's like, let's talk about the season. Let's talk about the expectations. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about the contract. Contract's going to be the contract. I'll get paid when I get paid. And I think he's handling it the right way, and he doesn't want to be the distraction. And everything. If he keeps being Baker Mayfield, all of that's going to take care of itself. That's the bottom line, and I think that's probably the. I'm not going to worry about the money. The money will come. We just got to win games. If we win games, guess what? All the statistics and stuff that everybody wants to see, more than likely I'm doing that because we're winning.
Yeah, no question. And that's been his attitude, and very mature attitude to have, absolutely, and what you want to hear. Actually, all the guys that are up for extensions, if you look at Chubb, Denzel got asked about his extension, Mayfield, they all answered from the same, but almost regurgitated the same stuff back to the press. And you can tell, obviously, they're having the right conversations with their agents, and the guys in the locker room and their coaching staff is rubbing off on them. So that's a good thing, I think. Is there a biggest area that you think he could still improve on, that you would like to see him get better at?
I just think staying consistent, making the throws that you're supposed to make, not making, 99% of your layups, so to speak, and, like a back in the flat, or, when there's no rush on you, or you're checking the ball down and just throwing it accurately. I think that he just needs to keep working on that, keep working on making those off-platform throws, keeping his feet underneath him. When he's in the pocket, he does a pretty good job. I think he could do a little bit better of just continually matching his feet to his eyes and making sure his hips and his eyes, rotate around through his progression. Some little things like that in the pocket, I believe he needs to keep working on. But, he's one of those guys that whatever you tell him to do, he's going to do it. He's going to do it 1,000 times over. He's a guy that has been proving everybody wrong his whole life. 6-foot quarterbacks can't play. Well, you're a walk-on. Okay. Oh, you walking on again? Well, you can't win the Heisman.
Know, right?
I mean, what else does a guy have to do?
It's crazy.
Oh, by the way, you're going to go to the Browns.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what? I'm going to take you guys to the playoffs. He faces the play. I mean, love the guy, man. I'm excited about his future. I'm excited about him getting that deal so he can, be here for 4 or 5 more years to root for. I love the way that he plays. I'm a small school guy. I'm a Division III quarterback who was fortunate to have the career that I did, and I root for guys that like that. He's not a guy that was supposed to make it, or that some people wanted to make it because he's brash. He talks a lot of shit. I love that. That's how I was.
Me too.
He wears his emotion on his sleeve, man.
Yep.
He runs down the field and pounds his chest and gives a whirly derby and all this stuff, man. I love that. The guy just plays the game like a little kid, and with that kind of passion and love is awesome to watch. And that's Cleveland, man. I mean, that is Cleveland through and through. We're blue collar guys. People work hard, and Baker's that kind of guy. He's the lunch pail guy that brings the lunchbox 9 to 5 and punches that card every week. And you just appreciate what he does. And I'm excited to see him continually get better. And I'm excited like crazy for the season to start.
Yeah, me too, man. I can't wait. I think it's 84 days till NFL starts, like something like 86 till Browns football. It seems like forever, but it'll get here eventually. But lots of stuff to talk about from now till then. Jim, you were fantastic. You are so smart with this stuff. You were a legend when I was growing up. Obviously, we went to the same high school. You went on to be a legend. We both went to Cuyahoga Falls High School, and that's we and you went on to go to Mount Union and break every record and win their first national title, which opened the floodgates, right? And then went on and had a 10-year professional career. And I just remember growing up and my dad talking about you all the time, when you were at Mount, because he was obviously, both my parents went to Mount Union. So obviously it's awesome to have generated a friendship with you and talk to you and have you on the show, man. You're awesome.
I appreciate it, man. I love talking ball anytime with you, Brad.
All right, Jim. Thanks so much for your time, man.
You too. Have a great weekend.
You too. Big thanks to Jim Ballard for coming on the show and knocked it out of the park. Great stuff. Talking Baker Mayfield, ways he can improve. Taking a look at, him with OBJ, without OBJ, all that good stuff. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. My name is Brad Ward. Mikey is on the 1s and 2s. Mikey jacked up my cars earlier. It's all his fault. So any complaints go directly to Mikey that's completely his fault. Yes. And, all right, so we've got a couple things to cover here real quickly. As I said, show on Saturday with Cameron Justice from WEWS Channel 5, who was at minicamp for the entire time. So we're going to go do our minicamp show on Saturday, so make sure you tune in then, and we'll do our minicamp breakdown, minicamp recap, I guess, as she was there. And she's been killing the coverage. If you follow her on Twitter, she's been knocking the coverage out of the park as far as the press goes there. So we'll have her on the show on Saturday, and that'll be awesome. I wanted to cover a couple things. If you go to alleyesOnCleveland.com, the website where the podcast is at, you can access the Fanatics Browns brand new training camp gear is up for Fanatics. You can click on the link there. Plus, we've hooked up with Vivid Seats. We will have a promo code if you want to buy tickets, single game tickets. I'm going to have a promo code for you from All Eyes on Cleveland. But that is also there if you want to look at the games, the seats that are available. All that stuff is at the Vivid Seats link on the website. And in the description below, we've got the Vivid Seats below for single game tickets. I'll have the promo code for you here within the next week or two. And Fanatics, all the new training camp gear is out. White hats, they got bucket hats, it's all slick. I really like the white hat a lot. It's amazing. It's really nice. So you can check all that stuff out on the website and in the description below. And while you're looking down there, make sure you hit that like button and hit subscribe if you're enjoying All Eyes on Cleveland. Two biggest takeaways from minicamp, real quick. Mandatory minicamp, two biggest takeaways. Rookie cornerback Newsome playing inside is huge for the Browns. So he's been playing inside a lot. When they drafted him, he was really profiled as just an outside corner, but they've been working him inside a lot with Troy Hill. Both of them have the ability to go out and in, but by doing that, what you're doing is really creating more depth to the point that I expressed this concern on a couple different shows, myself and other shows, that I was worried that if Troy Hill were to some reason go down, we would run into that same problem where Javier Thomas or the MJ Stewarts of the world would be pressed into playing time in that nickel cornerback position. But with Newsome lining up in there, that's fantastic. That makes the team deeper and better. That's a huge takeaway from minicamp for me. The other biggest takeaway from minicamp, from what I've heard, listened, read, everything, and like I said, we'll have much more on the minicamp on Saturday with Cameron Justice. She covered it all and was there for all 3 days, so we'll talk to her about it and everything then. But my other biggest takeaway is Donovan Peoples-Jones. By all accounts, he came in totally looking brand new, body totally revamped, NFL body, jacked up, looked fantastic by all accounts. And you know how big that's going to be. One of my questions I've been posing to some of my guests is, can Donovan Peoples-Jones be a number 2 wide receiver as we go to the future? The wide receiver room is a big question mark going into next year. Odell, is he going to be here? I don't know. Jarvis Landry, is he going to be here? I don't know. I hope so. But either way, if Donovan Peoples-Jones can step into a role of a number 2 wide receiver for this team heading forward beyond 2021, that is huge. And him showing up to minicamp looking fantastic, performing great with a NFL type body. He already's got the frame, all the skills, everything, all the traits you need. And from all accounts, he looks outstanding at minicamp for all 3 days. And as I said before, Newsome playing inside really helps the depth there. No Tavir Thomas, no MJ Stewart having to play nickel cornerback. Those are my big two takeaways from minicamp. I'm losing the ability to speak the English language as the show is ending here. I apologize. But yeah, those are the breakdowns, 2 takeaways from minicamp. Hope you enjoyed Jim Ballard tonight on the show. Awesome guy, knows his quarterbacks, and really broke down Baker well. Go check out the links below if you're looking for single game tickets at Vivid Seats. Check out the Fanatics link as the brand new Browns 2021 training camp gear is out and it is sick. So you can go to the link in the description below or go to www.alliesOnCleveland.com and hit the link there to check that out as well. Thank you for watching again. Come back Saturday. Cameron Justice, first time on the show, WEWS, Channel 5, Emmy-nominated digital content producer, was at training camp, covered it for them, and she's going to come on the show, and we're going to do our mandatory minicamp breakdown and recap with her on Saturday. So don't miss that one. It will be a good one for sure. For Mikey on the 1s and 2s, who jacked up several times tonight, we're going to have a long talk, Mikey. Screwing up my statistics, my years. You got me all messed up, brother. My name is Brad Ward. Big thanks to Jim Ballard. This has been another edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. We are out.
Sir, all eyes on Cleveland. We here. Yeah.